I'm Holden, and this is Jackson,
Yep.
and we're Straight Outta Comics. Straight to the point. Straight Outta Comics, straight to the point.
We're going to cut all this out. Okay, 3.
No,
2,
I'm going to leave it in.
1.
Straight into the news. First off, Jackson, at Comic-Con, we were all told, of course, that they were going to make The Killing Joke an animated feature, similar to they did with Dark Knight Returns and all the previous DC animated features. And just a few days ago, it was announced that Mark Hamill is going to voice the Joker in The Killing Joke animated feature himself. It's a pretty big deal. Mark Hamill is probably the most iconic Joker that we know.
Dude is the Joker.
Dude is the Joker for me. Every time I read a comic, I hear Mark Hamill's voice alongside Kevin Conroy, who is also rumored to be in the short animated feature as well. Although it hasn't been confirmed, but yeah. What do you think?
I mean, I'm excited. I think it sounds great. I'd love to hear them announce that Kevin Conroy is going to be Batman, because Killing Joke is one of my favorite stories, and it would be a crime to do it without Kevin Conroy. I know the Dark Knight Returns animated movie was good. RoboCop did a pretty good job doing Batman. I mean, he did an awesome job doing Batman, but it was a little bittersweet not getting to hear Kevin Conroy speak all of those awesome Frank Miller lines in The Dark Knight Returns. So it'd be nice if we could go ahead and get him in there, it'd be nice if we could get him into this Killing Joke here instead of them doing some sort of stunt casting, bringing somebody else in.
The Killing Joke is seminal. It's probably up there, probably number 2 behind Dark Knight Returns for Batman stories. So
number 1 for me.
Well, I'm just saying that the general audience probably puts Dark Knight Returns above Killing Joke.
I was just letting you know.
And the Killing Joke is seminal for Batman's work, and I think one of the reasons they didn't get Kevin Conroy was because it's a different type of Batman. He's older. And I think Kevin Conroy would be perfect for this because it is more of a basic Batman traditionally. Granted, like you said, they have kind of done it before where, they've had other people play Batman in other interpretations of the comics that they've done.
If they didn't get Kevin Conroy, who do you reckon they'd go for?
They'd probably go for somebody that, I think the guy that they have going now, like that did Batman versus Robin and Batman, Son of Batman.
I'm in for the Dark Knight Returns. They got RoboCop. I think they're going to go for, the guy who played Demolition Man.
Sylvester Stallone.
Sylvester Stallone, that's right.
That'd be terrible.
They're like, you go with RoboCop. Demolition Man is kind of like RoboCop. Sylvester
Not
Stallone.
at all. Or they'd get
it's like a cop from the future.
They could get the Terminator. You get Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I
don't know. They'd probably
be able to redeem himself for Batman and Robin.
He's like, I'm going to be Batman, new one.
My greatest misgiving was Batman and Robin, but I will fix it now because I should have been Batman instead of Mr. Freeze. I know now. Batman is the one who gets to say the funny lines.
I doubt it. I think with them getting Mark Hamill, I think it's going to be pretty much a guarantee that they're going to get Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy loves to do Batman. He's always doing Batman. Unless they tell him not to be Batman. He's Batman. Because it's like I told you the other day. We were talking about this the other day. Kevin Conroy usually doesn't really do anything else except be Batman. A lot of times. So I think they'll get him because they got Mark Hamill. I doubt that because you can't really do Kevin Conroy without Mark Hamill as the Joker. It doesn't really work, and it wouldn't make any sense. So I think they're going to go after Kevin Conroy. It's Bruce Timm and them, so of course they're going to do that.
I would hope so.
But next piece of news, Jackson.
Oh, what is it? I'm excited.
The writers for Marvel Spider-Man, Marvel/Sony Spider-Man, are officially confirmed. Do you know who they are?
Are they the guys that wrote 21 Jump Street?
No, it's the other guys. The guys that aren't as good.
The guys that wrote the other guys? Oh my gosh.
No, because they got them to do Ant-Man. No, it's the guys from Vacation, the rebooted, sequelized Vacation movie that came out today, actually. No, tomorrow. It comes out tomorrow.
Really?
Yes.
You reckon that's good?
I don't know. I mean, I saw IGN gave it a good review, but on Rotten Tomatoes, I think last time I checked, it was like 18%.
Well, that's not good at all. I don't know. Do you think that's more of a Marvel decision or a Sony decision? Marvel, has Marvel really brought in like writers, like hot writers to do anything really?
They haven't really brought in any hot writers, like these guys.
Hot as in like attractive guys. No,
not hot, but like, popular writers that are getting a lot of work. I mean, these guys seem to be getting a lot of work. I remember reading a few years back that they had like signed a new deal with some company to do like a 3-picture deal or something like that, writing and directing. And I know these guys are pretty popular now because Vacation and everything, and other features that they're writing. So I think that it's kind of more of a Sony move. Because I'm guessing, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm kind of thinking that Vacation might be a Sony movie. And they're probably just trying to keep them in-house. By giving them Spider-Man. Now, granted, I don't know. They might do a good job with it. They might do like the guys from 20 Jump Street. Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. They might be like those guys. They just haven't done a good movie.
They might be like those guys, but not
Horrible Bosses was funny, and they did Horrible Bosses.
They do Horrible Bosses 2, though?
They did Horrible Bosses 2.
Horrible Bosses 2 was not good, nor funny.
It was funny. It just wasn't as good as the first one. But I think these guys are funny. It seems like the direction that Marvel's wanting to go with it is they're trying to make it more like a John Hughes movie.
Should have got John Hughes then.
John Hughes is dead, Jackson, so you can't get John Hughes. So you got to get people that could kind of write like John Hughes, I guess, kind of like a fresher, updated John Hughes.
I watched Horrible Bosses. I watched Horrible Bosses 2 twice. I never did it like it occurred that it was like, this movie is like a young John Hughesian movie.
No, it didn't, but I think it's not too bad of a choice. I mean, it's like I said, it's just still kind of like everybody that they've chosen to do it is just kind of like, well, whatever. I mean, you're not like super excited about anybody. I mean, the guy that got directing it, it's like he directed like 2 movies, and they're both like small independent movies. And then these guys who wrote these movies, who wrote Vacation, doesn't seem to be getting a lot of attention, especially good reviews or nothing like that. But and the guy that they cast as Spider-Man. It's like I said, it's just very like, okay, at this point. In the stage, I mean, once we probably start seeing more of Spider-Man and the guy and the Tom Holland actually acting as Spider-Man, we'll probably get a better idea. But until then, just right now, it's just kind of like whatever.
All right. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, they could, maybe it'll be awesome, maybe it won't. We'll have to wait to actually see the movie, or at least see the trailer. One thing that I do hope, though, is that they have, that they don't, try and, fuck up the suit or nothing like that.
No, they should just keep it straight traditional. I mean, because in Amazing Spider-Man, they changed the suit. And then in Amazing Spider-Man 2, he had a regular, comic book accurate suit.
Yeah, which I like the suit in that.
And it was just kind of like, but there was no explanation. It was just like he just had that suit all of a sudden. Which, I don't know, they cut an hour out of that movie. There might have been an explanation, but...
That movie wasn't very good.
But at least they didn't get guys that have, the last name like Webb or something like that. Yeah. So it's not like, ooh, we got Mark Webb to direct
this guy because his name is Tony Spider-Man.
Tony Spider-Man.
And they didn't get Robert Orsi or Kirk.
Keep those guys away from movies unless it's with J.J. Abrams.
Or else it would be even if it isn't J.J. Abrams.
Technically, I think those guys aren't too bad if it's with J.J. Abrams. No, Star Trek, they made the first Star Trek just with J.J. Abrams. It was just them two and J.J. Abrams. And then Star Trek Into Darkness had Damon Lindelof writing on it. That was the problem.
That's right.
Because I remember Damon Lindelof was talking about, he was talking about writing that scene where Carol Marcus was naked for no reason. So, yeah.
And like Magic Blood?
Probably.
Probably.
I don't know. He writes everything with Magic Blood. Amazing Spider-Man had Magic Blood too. So
Yeah. Roberto Orsi. Yeah, I mean, I just want them to like not write movies because it's you've done enough. Guys.
yeah, I mean they wrote
You're
Transformers
good to go back
too.
to the bench. I mean,
Which is like I said,
Star Trek 1 was awesome. Star Trek 2 was garbage, and everything else is garbage.
garbage. But on to the next news, Jackson.
Oh wow! I wonder what's next.
You remember in the Batman v Superman Comic-Con trailer they released? There's a Asian lady. I mean, I don't know where she's from exactly, but I don't want to get in trouble. But Tao Okamoto.
Tao Okamoto.
She's walking down.
Oh, Tao Okamoto.
She's walking down the hallway with like military guys, and they got like a big box. And it looks like she's opening a door for Holly Hunter's character into Lex Luthor's like
she kind of
office
just in like 2 seconds you could get that like she looks like some put upon like Snoopy's secretary or something. It's like this way or something, and everybody's carrying a big box and stuff. And
yeah, because she's always got like the clipboard and stuff. She's like, oh, I got the clipboard so I can write down stuff because I'm the assistant. But like you said, she seems like she's put upon. But apparently she's playing Mercy Graves in the new Batman v Superman movie.
So Lex Luthor's not super powered sidekick, but
not that we know of.
Well, I mean, traditionally in the comic, she hasn't been super powered. She's more like a just kind of Harley Quinn, where she's kind of a badass fighter, but not necessarily super powered. However, we are going to get to, there was rumors, I think maybe last year or something, that they were looking for some sort of Amazonian type of woman to play Mercy Graves, and that Mercy Graves may be some sort of Wonder Woman-esque Amazon.
Yeah, in the comics there was a little known run where Mercy Graves was actually an Amazonian warrior in the comics, so I think that's where that kind of came from.
Oh, okay. I mean, that would make sense. Because if you see in the trailer, we all know Gal Gadot is a fairly thin woman.
Very lean, yeah.
Yeah, very lean woman, and this woman is very tall and lean as well. I think it would make sense that it's like, okay, well, the Amazons, whereas from the comic book, it's like they're traditionally like, Amazonian-looking women, but in this Zack Snyder movie world, they're going to be like very thin, like supermodel type women. So
yeah, I mean they're all just very lean over in Amazonian, world, in the Amazonian world. They spend all day hunting, killing tigers, but they don't eat them. They're vegetarians, so it's like.
And they eat very little vegetables too.
They eat very little.
Very little altogether.
They eat very little. They spend so much time hunting and fighting and being badasses that they don't have time to eat and do other things.
Nor do they really like gain muscle.
I don't know, but yes, and like you said with Harley Quinn, speaking of which, she's actually similar to Harley Quinn because she was created on the 90s cartoon.
I know.
And now she translated to comics and has become not as popular as Harley Quinn, but she is kind of like a mainstay within Lex Luthor kind of now. So that'll be interesting to see them move in with that. I think that's cool that they're bringing in those type of characters.
And what about this actress? Anything interesting about her? She got any geek cred?
She was in the Wolverine and Hannibal, the TV show.
So you may remember her as Wolverine's young Asian love interest in the Wolverine movie. So she's got a bit of geek cred there. I think it's fine casting. Mercy Graves. I don't think anybody's going to get up in arms.
Yeah, I mean, people.
I would hope not.
Nobody's really getting up in arms because I guess they're not like Tao Okamoto. Mercy Graves is white, blonde-haired lady. So nobody's really getting up in.
I'm all for diversity, especially with small characters like that. With like Mercy Graves, doesn't matter whether she's white or Asian.
Yeah,
Mercy Graves doesn't sound like a real name, anyways.
It's not. But. Mercy.
It sounds like some sort of porn star name.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of things that I've really heard is just people are like, well, we already knew this because we figured she was going to play Mercy Graves.
Yeah, or a Mercy Graves type character. If she was a Mercy Graves, she probably would be like
Yes,
like
an
Mercy
assistant
Graves.
that is to Lex Luthor. But next news,
Ooh, I wonder what's going to be.
Ant-Man. Michael Douglas. Well, it's been reported actually today that Michael Douglas didn't sign to be in any more Marvel movies than just the one Ant-Man.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine he'd only signed on to do one, but it sounds like he's like super excited to do like more stuff with them after this. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him sign on to do more stuff and get to be in more stuff.
Yeah, I think he was probably the best character for me in the movie. That was the most interesting. I think Michael Pena was funny, and I thought Paul Rudd and Evangeline Lilly were solid, but I think Michael Douglas really stood out for me as being my favorite character, just because, for one, he's Hank Pym. I've always kind of liked Hank Pym, and I'm really interested to see if they'll dig more into the background, his past life and stuff. They did a little bit in the movie, but I hope they go a little bit more further, and if they do a sequel or do more movies with him.
Yeah, totally. Hank Pym was great. I did like Michael Pena, and I would like to see Michael Pena get like a 9-picture deal and see him just pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
Just be the new, what I really love to see. This is if anybody's listening, have Michael Pena become like the new Coulson. Like somehow he finds himself being an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and now he's like, Nick Fury's right-hand man, and he just can't believe it. He pops up everywhere.
And he just keeps talking about all these stories to Nick Fury. Yeah, that would be funny. I also would like to see him become like a Falcon type character to him, where he gets
like
a super
Black
suit.
Goliath?
Well, like where he gets like a super suit or something like that, and maybe he can do something too, just so he can have an extended role, something similar to like what you're saying, where he'll show up in other movies or have other things
Well,
like that.
I mean, Ant-Man does have like a Falcon or a War Machine type black sidekick named Black Goliath, who he does have. Now, that wouldn't make sense because Michael Pena is not black, but I suppose if they change it to Hispanic Goliath or something,
You could just call him Goliath. I don't really think that you need to call him Black Goliath.
That's true. He could be Goliath or he could be Giant Man, and so yeah. Although, as like I said, I think he'd be great as a superhero, but I'd love to see him as a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent too. I would just love to see him show up and be completely clueless as Iron Man and Captain America are fighting and saving the world, and he's just like, why am I here?
Be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Michael Pena was great. So was Michael Douglas, though. Also, I'd like to see Michael Douglas sign like a 9-picture deal.
It doesn't really say if anybody else.
For no reason.
It doesn't really say if anybody else is really signed other picture deals. I think Paul Rudd probably is the only one. Probably Evangeline Lilly, as they are. Well, as Paul Rudd's going to be in Civil War, so of course we know that. But on to the next news. I hope he signs back. That'd be interesting.
What's it going to be?
But the next news is today. There's like a big press tour for like TV shows and stuff like that. It's called the Television Critics Association Press Tour today, and Netflix was there. And Netflix COO Ted Sarandos. I think that's how you say it. He can sue me if I get it wrong. No, don't sue me. But he was talking about Netflix today, and he was talking about all the Marvel properties, of course, because people have to ask him about the Marvel properties. And he was probably just like, ask about House of Cards. We have to talk about Marvel. But they were talking about Daredevil and how successful it was, and all the other Marvel properties that they're trying to release. And he actually announced today that whatchamacallit probably is going to launch by the end of the year. Jessica Jones. So probably November, December, we'll see the 13 episodes of Jessica Jones come out. And he, I'm pretty excited about all the properties that they have.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. It's kind of exciting to hear because it's one more little like taste of like Marvel stuff. You know, after seeing Ant-Man, it's kind of, you're a little sad because you're like, man, there's no more Marvel stuff to look forward till next year.
Next
And
year.
then it's like, wow, you know, I got this little nugget of Jessica Jones. It's hopefully supposed to come out sometime before the end of the year.
Well,
so.
you do have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to look forward to.
Well, really? Do I?
You can look forward to it and then be horribly disappointed after you watch the first episode. That's how I've been doing it.
I can't even pretend to look forward to it. I'm Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is off of my watch.
I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is good because you watch it. The thing is that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you can be like, oh man, I really wish there was more Marvel content I could watch. And then you're just like, well, I guess I can watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, that's just something you can watch just so you can watch more Marvel stuff. I don't think it's good overall. But you should probably just watch the cartoons instead.
I think what they do is they were like, let's make Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. so bad that when you watch it and then you go see the movies, you're like, this is great. Because it's not Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
If they could do their movies closer to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. No, I mean when Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on, like what they did with Captain America: Civil War, it makes the show a lot better.
Winter Soldier.
Like with Winter Soldier, when all that stuff happened with S.H.I.E.L.D., and then you could go watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you could see all that happening, like in the background or as it goes along. I thought that made it a lot better. Now, granted, with like Avengers, it was just kind of like, oh, I had a helicarrier to give the Avengers. Or Thor, they were just like, let's clean up for Thor. But
yeah,
whatever.
I feel like that's not going to happen too much.
No.
But anyways, Jessica Jones. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I personally always liked the Jessica Jones character. I thought it was, just an interesting character of someone who has superpowers and tried to be a superhero, and then it just didn't work out for him. And I'm excited to see how terrifying they decide to make David Tennant as the Purple Man.
I doubt they'll make him that dark, but they'll probably make him pretty dark. I know David Tennant's kind of like a dark actor outside of Doctor Who. Yeah, outside of Doctor Who, he's a pretty dark actor.
Right.
Like Broadchurch and stuff like that, so.
Yeah.
But he was talking about that also with these like Defender shows and the Marvel shows, that we'll probably be seeing them every 6 months. We'll probably be getting a new season, new series every 6 months from them.
Oh, really?
So that'll be interesting.
That's good. I thought Daredevil was good. So if Jessica Jones is more towards Daredevil and less like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I think it'll be another very enjoyable show.
What I'll be worried about is he said 6 months for you'll get a new season, a new show. It seems like they still got to do Luke Cage and Iron Fist, and with season 2 of Daredevil starting up, kind of interested to see how that will cross over, or how that will kind of go together. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Also, they were talking about that they might possibly be developing a Punisher spinoff as well, and Iron Fist casting there as well. But nothing too much. It's just kind of like Punisher being in season 2. You think he'll do a spinoff, and you're just like, oh, it's possible. I don't know.
It's like anything is possible. I feel like, as we've talked about before, I think the Punisher, they're kind of putting him on the bench and introducing him as more of a villain this time, rather than someone who could be spinned off. I'm sure they're going to leave it open, but I think that's just not in their plans right now.
Yeah, it's probably not a big concern to be like, let's push Punisher back in. I mean, we've pushed Daredevil back in as a character that can be within the Marvel Universe, but Punisher is not a big priority.
We're working on Blade. Mm-hmm. I'm not the news guy, but did you see anything about, I think there was a headline I saw somewhere about, I think, Thunderbolts, maybe?
Yes.
Was there anything
that
said
was the
about
next
that?
thing I was going to say.
Oh, I spoiled news.
There's been a big rumor going around that they're going to try to make a TV show about Thunderbolts on Netflix, of course. And but yeah, I mean, for people that don't know, Thunderbolts very similar to Suicide Squad, team of supervillains that kind of come together to become good guys, pretty much.
Well,
but not as much as Suicide Squad, whereas they're kind of forced to do it. Thunderbolts are kind of like, yeah, we'll be superheroes or whatever.
yeah, well, that's the thing. There have been incarnations of the Thunderbolts that have become more like the Suicide Squad, but initially the Thunderbolts were a group of villains who were pretending to be heroes, who took different identities to become heroes so that they could infiltrate. They had some evil plan. It didn't make much sense, but it was an awesome comic because eventually, I think initially after their plan failed, they decided they liked being heroes more than villains, and it was just kind of an ongoing, almost like support group of villains that were taking on new identities to become heroes. And I thought it was personally very, very great. So I think personally the Thunderbolts are better than the Suicide Squad. And I'd be very excited to see a show like that. And hopefully they don't just do a Marvel version of Suicide Squad. But yeah, I'd love to see it. Is there any actual talk about it or?
Well, it just seems like it's mostly a rumor as to because of Suicide Squad's trailer came out and it's gotten a lot of positive reviews and stuff like that. So a lot of people are just kind of saying that, well, maybe Marvel might do the Thunderbolts because, the guy at Netflix said every 6 months you'll see a new show, and they're just thinking that, past the Defenders and Daredevil and them, that they might go into doing other people, like the Thunderbolts or something like that.
I think they ought to be thinking about it, because the Thunderbolts, it's pretty awesome. And then, you've got Dave Brühl playing... Daniel Brühl playing Baron Zemo in the Captain America movie.
I doubt they'll get him on Netflix.
On the TV show.
They might get him maybe, but I think isn't. But with Citizen V, isn't he just like Baron Zemo's son or something like that?
Well, there's the old 1940s Baron Zemo, whose son was Baron, the other Baron Zemo, who was the main Baron Zemo. Comics are confusing, but. Yeah, there's the main Baron Zemo, and he's got a father who was the old 1940s Baron Zemo. I imagine Daniel Brühl is playing the main son of Baron Zemo, who is Baron Zemo, who also became Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane. No, Citizen V. So yeah, I think he could go to Netflix. What's he doing? Exactly.
He's in Quentin Tarantino's movies. He's in one of them as a German guy. So, Daniel Brühl's not a big-time guy or nothing like that. And they might be able to get him on Netflix, maybe. I doubt he'll want to, because he's like, well, I can be in movies with Ron Howard and stuff like that. And
but
Thor.
you can also be on this Netflix show.
If he would be on there, he'd be the star of it. For sure, he'd be the leader and everything. Now, granted, we don't know how they're going to end up with Baron Zemo at the end of Civil War. They might kill him off, or he might just be he's too evil to be a good guy. Yeah. That you can see him becoming a good guy.
Well, it could start out like it does in the comics, where it's Daniel Brühl is super evil. And, he decides that, he's got to change his identity so he can trick people into getting in there, and he decides to pretend to be a hero.
He's...
There's...
go ahead.
Radio silence here.
No, go ahead. I was waiting for you to say something.
No, I'm spent on this one.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, I was just reading along here, and it said something about members that they could use on Thunderbolts.
Oh, really?
And they were just saying that a lot of them have been introduced, like Mr. Hyde, Crossbones, Absorbing Man, and Grant Ward from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Grant Ward is on the Thunderbolts?
I don't know if he's actually on the Thunderbolts in the comics or if he's going to be in it or whatever, but I think they're just saying that everybody that's been introduced could be used within the Thunderbolts movie or TV show, and those are a list of people. And they also said more are set to debut, like Baron Zemo, Punisher, Netflix, Elektra, and some of the Inhumans. So they could use them possibly.
If they were to do this, I would I would rather them do like a mix of people that you've seen and haven't seen, because I think it's going to work all right with Suicide Squad, where you're going to have a bunch of villains who you haven't seen before, do the Suicide Squad thing. I think it'd be cool to have Crossbones and Baron Zemo on there, but I think it also would be cool to maybe introduce, the Songbird character.
Swordsman.
Maybe.
Well, Swordsman, there's a picture
Beetle.
here, and Swordsman's on there.
Yeah, Swordsman.
And Bullseye's on there. Red Hulk's on there.
Yeah. I might say Bullseye and Red Hulk and stuff, but you could put in the Beetle and Songbird and Atlas and stuff like that. I was a big fan of the original lineup, so that's what I'd love to see personally. But they do whatever they want. They're Marvel. Fuck me.
I mean, yeah, whatever they do, I would still be down for. I mean, it's Thunderbolts. I mean, Thunderbolts is such a rare comic. They could do Speed Demon.
Yeah, Speed Demon, Blizzard. I mean, the pure fact that they're probably considering doing a Thunderbolts TV show, we should all be doing backflips right now. It's amazing. We live in an age of wonders that we like to shit on all the time.
I know, it's just crazy because it's like there's an Ant-Man movie in theaters right now.
About the second most popular
Ant-Man and features the first Ant-Man, and yeah, and we're going crazy because we're like, it's just not good enough. But whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it for news, really.
Really,
So,
that's all the news we had.
yeah, like I said, not a lot
Slow
of
news day.
Yeah, not a lot of big news, but there's a lot of like other stuff like wait a second. Sorry, I was just looking over this and I'm seeing here that there is something that
Breaking news.
breaking news.
Breaking
Breaking news. Chris
Straight Outta
Pine.
Comics.
Chris Pine. We've heard rumors all along about him being Green Lantern, Steve Trevor, or whatever. It's finally been revealed who he's going to be.
Let me guess.
Do you want to guess?
He's going to be playing Darkseid.
No. No.
Shit.
No. He's
Jimmy Olsen?
going to play Steve Trevor.
Steve Trevor.
He's playing Steve Trevor in the Wonder Woman movie, so I think that's better than him playing Hal Jordan, honestly. I think that's better for the movie even too. The Wonder Woman movie, because a lot of people, kind of are shitting on Gal Gadot as being Wonder Woman, and I think having Chris Pine, who's somebody that people really like, he's kind of an established actor at this point. Him being in the Wonder Woman movie will help kind of alleviate a lot of that, like, oh, Gal Gadot, we gotta watch her be Wonder Woman. I think that will alleviate a lot of that type of stuff. And him playing Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, I mean, he'd be alright, but he's already, Captain Kirk. And I don't really want to see him in space in 2 different movies.
Yeah, it's kind of like a lot of people are always talking about how Chris Pine should be playing Han Solo and stuff, and it's like, he's already Star-Lord. He shouldn't be 2 of the same
Yeah,
guy.
he can't be the same guy. And especially when it's like, well, we want to do a younger one. It's like, he's the same age. But, yeah, I think that's better than Green Lantern for the movie in the universe. And I think, Steve Trevor can be a kind of a really cool, badass character. I know he's always kind of been like, oh, I'm just the guy that falls in love with Wonder Woman or whatever. But I think if you make him cool and badass, it'll be a lot interesting. And they said here that he'll be more than he'll be no mere love interest for Godot's Diana Prince. There will be plenty of action to keep him busy. So it seems like they're probably going to try to do something different with him. Yeah, and it sounds like he's going to be in multiple. It sounds like he signed a multiple picture deal, and to be in sequels and more movies. So that'll be interesting. And I can't remember where I was reading, but there was some team that him and Amanda Waller had to assemble to fight the Justice League. I can't remember where that was. Do you remember that was?
It's the Suicide Squad.
Is it the Suicide Squad?
I don't know. Probably.
I don't know. It was in some comic or something like that. where him and Amanda Waller assembled some weird team of people to fight the Justice League in case they went rogue or whatever. And I think, like I said, Steve Trevor is somebody that they can make cool. He's a cool military guy. You can make him like cool and badass, and I think that will be very interesting to see.
Personally, my own opinion.
But yeah, what do you think?
Which does not reflect the thoughts of the Straight Outta Comics podcast. But my opinion is I never liked Steve Trevor.
Steve Trevor? Street Trevor?
I never liked Steve Trevor. I never liked Steve Trevor. He was always boring. I never cared. Fuck that dude. And Odin shrugs on radio.
I'm shrugging just because it's like, whatever. I mean, it's like I told him, Steve Trevor's always been kind of like nobody in the DC universe. I mean, for one, he's never always been Wonder Woman's love interest. It's always been like somebody else, like Batman or Superman or whatever. So they've always kind of cut out Steve Trevor. But I think that, like I said, for the movie, the standalone Wonder Woman movie, I think this is a good casting choice.
Steve Trevor always comes off as like more helpless than like Lois Lane or like
I guess because he's always
whoever Batman's dating. It's just like it's almost like they're always making him like he's supposed to be cool, but then he just ends up being like a man in distress or whatever.
Well, it's like I said, yeah, he seems like he's very distressed. He's in He's going to be in distress. He's going to be in distress. He's going to be the damsel in distress. But I think that'll be cool. I think that'll be cool to see. That, like, maybe he's not the damsel in distress, but he's very, like, capable of handling himself. But when he's in Themyscira and they're having a fight, like, people who are trying to, like, the bad guys or whatever in the movie, I think it will be cool to have him be very capable. But then it's like he's not that capable because he doesn't have superpowers. He's just a normal soldier man. And I think Steve Trevor, you could make him like Captain America badass, but without the superpowers. And I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. But I think for the casting choice, I think that's great. I think they'll be better for the movie. A lot more interested in the Wonder Woman movie than I was before, because otherwise we just had Gal Gadot, who I think is okay, but isn't great.
All right. And this will clear up the Green Lantern spot for Tyrese and Mark Wahlberg.
And
there you go.
No, let's see. Mark Wahlberg has...
Mark Wahlberg and Tyrese. Just
like I said,
good old fun.
Matthew McConaughey and Tyrese would be good.
It's like...
I think that would be a good, fun, winning duo.
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah,
they don't seem like they'd get along.
Like I said, Matthew McConaughey seems like a cool, laid-back dude. He seems very fun, loving.
It'll be like Too Fast, Too Furious all over again.
Yeah, it'll be more like Four Brothers. But it's like I said, they only, and I think Mark Wahlberg only really works when he can be Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
and he can't be Mark Wahlberg as Hal Jordan.
As Hal Jordan. He's just like a guy who's a mechanic. He fixes planes or whatever. He's not some genius scientist inventor. He's just like a guy who's like, I'm just fixing planes, and I like to go out and fight, in alleys in my spare time or whatever.
Fighting alleys.
And, is Jon Stewart, and he fixes planes too or whatever, fixes cars. And it's just like Fast and the Furious in space. As terrible as it sounds, I would watch the fuck out of it. Fast and the Furious in space with Mark Wahlberg and Tyrese. And Tyrese is just like, no, I don't want to do this. And, he can go down to space.
Like Mark Wahlberg pushes him in the space or whatever. He's like,
no! Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love that. And then, they go and try out before the, Guardians or whatever. And they're like, oh, your reckless behavior and stuff, and they're just like, shut up, numbnuts. They do better writing than that, but
I don't know. I think it'd be interesting. I would have rather seen that than the Ryan Reynolds one that we got, but I doubt that that's what they're going to go for. I think it's like you said, they'll probably go for a little more grounded. They probably won't. I know they talked to Tyrese. There was something that said that they were talking to Tyrese about it, but I doubt they'll go for that, really. Because they seem to be going for, serious and grounded. But, yeah.
Oh, you don't.
But I think with them casting him as Steve Trevor, I think that's probably saying that, Green Lantern probably won't be in this new movie. as much as like the Flash and Aquaman might be in it.
Really?
Well, yeah, because it's just, you have Flash, Aquaman, you have pretty much all the Justice League except Green Lantern. And I think that now that they don't have somebody that's been circling Green Lantern, they'll probably just not have him in there. But on to the next thing, which we're actually done with news.
What time is it?
It's time for the Spotlight.
Oh, the Spotlight.
The Spotlight. What we usually do for a Spotlight is we usually come up with a certain topic or whatever, and we usually dish about that for a while. What we thought might be pretty form-fitting for Straight Outta Comics would be a kind of a editorial on black superheroes. Just in general, I have a list here. They're not really in any type of order or anything like that, but I do have a pretty good list of good superheroes. And I also want to bring up some stupid black superheroes that they've created. But first off, I wanted to talk to you about Luke Cage. Like I said, we were talking about the Netflix shows. And Luke Cage is one of the characters that they're going to be making a Netflix show out of. He's going to appear in Jessica Jones and then later have his own series. But as Luke Cage stands today, he is pretty badass. He's got superhuman strength, unbreakable skin. And he's got a healing factor as well. But what do you think about Luke Cage? Do you think he's cool? Or do you think he's lame, Jackson?
I think that they've written a lot of great Luke Cage stories. I feel like he, however, is not that cool. I mean, he's cool in the sense that, awesome. We get a black superhero. Great. But, it always comes to my mind when you hear those arguments on the internet when, they cast, a black guy as Johnny Storm. People are like, well, why don't we just cast a white guy as Luke Cage? I mean, a white guy as Luke Cage would be, the worst character ever. It's just a white guy with super strength that's, has a weird disposition. It's he's really not that interesting other than he's black. That's the thing that I don't like about Luke Cage, but he's fine. He's all right.
Yeah, I think one of the things about Luke Cage too is that I think, to me personally, I thought he was a lot cooler before, until kind of Bendis kind of came in and kind of made him more. He made him made him be married to Jessica Jones and stuff like that, and he was the leader of the Avengers and stuff like that. I think they kind of made him a little more.
Responsible?
Yeah, they made him a little more responsible and not as cool. He's like I said, he's married to Jessica Jones. He's got a kid with her. He, was the leader of the Avengers, and I think that kind of made him a little too more responsible and a little more different than what he used to be. Because originally, he was Luke Cage, hero for hire. He was a black guy that was wrongly convicted of a crime. He was sent to prison and was experimented. As a lot of black people are.
In prison.
And, he was experimented on, and he got these superpowers. And, the story kind of came out around the same time as blaxploitation movies. So it was kind of like a blaxploitation comic. And I thought that was kind of cool. And he always had, a cool catchphrase, which is stupid, but I always thought it was cool. Sweet Christmas.
Yes.
He had the Sweet Christmas. He had the Sweet Christmas catchphrase, and his costume looked stupid, but it was still kind of cool. It still had a cool hint of it with the yellow shirt, the blue pants, and the chain around his belt, and the little head thing, the little headband thing. I always thought that was kind of cool. Especially being the little kid and being like, oh, this is a black superhero. And it kind of looked cool. I guess maybe I just kind of had to make myself think it looked cool. But
growing up, black superheroes, we just had to take what we got. I'm going to let you finish, but I totally disagree. I think that Bendis has been the best thing for Luke Cage.
I mean, yeah, he's taken him.
It took his silly costume away. He still does say Sweet Christmas a lot. And it took away the whole hero for hire thing, which hero for hire is an interesting concept. However, I feel like as him being a black guy, why is the black guy got to be the guy who doesn't want to be a hero unless he's paid? I just feel like, I'm okay with him getting to be the leader of the Avengers. Even though it doesn't make total sense. It's like, why is he the leader of the Avengers? But, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I think he's a better character now than he was before.
Yeah, I mean, he is a better character. He is better to throw into the movies and stuff, but I just thought he was a little bit cooler because he was like a little more like free roam. He was like, I don't care what you say. Sweet Christmas, bam, punch you in the face type of guy. And like, Bendis has made him a lot better. Like I said,
he's a responsible.
He's made him more responsible family man. He's got a wife. He's an interracial couple with Jessica Jones, which is really cool. He's the leader of the Avengers multiple times. I didn't like when he was the leader of the Mighty Avengers because that kind of felt like it was like the Mighty Avengers and stuff like that. Black People Avengers.
I didn't get to read the Mighty Avengers, but I didn't mind the concept. I mean, because they weren't really black Avengers because they weren't all black. It was just like a mostly black Avengers.
Well, who was the Spider-Man guy? I'm looking at a picture of it, and there's a spider guy.
Well, which one? Because they had two spider guys.
Well, it looks like, whatchamacallit?
They had Otto.
It looks like Otto Octavius Spider-Man.
But they also had another guy who had a Spider-Man costume on in the first couple issues with, like, green on the sides.
No, this looks like the Alex Ross.
Yep, that's Otto's costume. But they also had another Spider-Man on the team whose name was, like, Spider Guy. Had like green. He had like green on the sides, and it looked like he had a terrible Spider-Man costume on. But it was revealed that he wasn't Spider Guy. He was actually Blade, another guy. So
Blade's always somebody that's hiding within the team. He's always like Ronin, and then he's like, "I'm Blade," and then he's
he was Spider Guy,
and then I'm Blade.
You didn't know who he was, and then he became Ronin, and then they finally revealed that Ronin was Blade. But yeah, so they had a white guy. They had Otto Octavius.
Maybe it probably was Blade though.
What?
But yeah, I mean, and Luke Cage is always partnered with a white guy, Iron Fist. So
yep.
So I mean, yeah. So when you say that, like he's the black guy that's here for hire, I mean, he's partners with a white guy who's also like, yeah, I like that's the way of thinking. So honestly, it's not necessarily really racist because he's got a white guy.
It was racist at first because at first Luke Cage was the only hero for hire, and then they decided that, like, oh, Luke Cage and Iron Fist, these are two comics that don't sell that well. How about we put them together? And they had them put them together, and then they were heroes for hire.
True, but overall, I think Luke Cage is a great character. Very excited to see him within the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep, I'd love to see a show.
I haven't really read any
for
of his
all
comics,
kinds of superheroes as long as they're black.
Yeah. Well.
No more. Stop making white superheroes.
I mean, I think that's the thing is it's like you said with Mercy Graves or something like that. Like, I think if you make somebody like black, that's very minor, and that's okay for me. I think like I said, I would have been okay if they made Alfred black and they made him like Idris Elba. Like that would have been so cool. Like if it was Idris Elba and Ben Affleck.
Huge butler.
But that would have been awesome because you could have done like
I would have been thinking the whole time like, geez, this butler is way bigger than Batman.
No, because they would have.
Butler ought to be Batman.
They're probably about the same height. I mean, they're probably both about like 6'2", 6'3", or something like that. Him and Ben Affleck, and they're both. And I mean, Ben Affleck got to the point where he's a pretty big, chesty, shoulders guy. And I think that you could have had that cool dynamic of like I'm Alfred Pennyworth, but I'm like the son of the original butler Alfred Pennyworth, and like we both grew up as like kids and stuff like that. And I went off and joined the army or the British Army or whatever, and I came back, and you're Batman now. And I just kind of have worked with you as becoming Batman. It would have been a lot like Arrow with like Diggle and stuff, but I think it would have been kind of cool to see Idris Elba.
I suppose. I just feel like.
And it would have probably made a little more sense.
One cannot simply stand next to Idris Elba and look cooler. Like even in Thor, like Chris Hemsworth, it seems like Idris Elba is more badass than Thor, but the only reason why he's not doing badass stuff is he's blind. Because I always feel like, well, why didn't Heimdall just go down there? He'd be able to kick their asses in minutes.
Well, Heimdall did have a cool scene in the second one where he destroyed a couple ships, but it was kind of like he destroyed that ship and then was like, oh no. It was like a bigger ship or something like that. But on to the next one. I got another black superhero here for you. Another Marvel Cinematic character that we're going to be seeing soon, Black Panther.
I love Black Panther. I think Black Panther's great. African superhero, comes from a city in is it a city or country? Country.
It's country.
In Africa called Wakanda. That's very technologically advanced. It's like that's like some sort of sci-fi African country. And Black Panther is somewhat of a Batman type character. He's like the Batman / king of that country, which is awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to see the movie with Chadwick Boseman.
Mm-hmm. That'll be interesting because, like you said, he's the king of this country, the small country that nobody really even knows about because they're so technologically advanced that they're able to shield themselves from other countries, and they never really feel like they're like the same as Africa. They're always like, we're different from Africa, even though we are in the same continent. We're very different from Africa. We're a lot more technologically advanced and stuff. We're a separate country, even. So it'll be interesting to see how they include that. I wonder if they'll do the whole. They've kept themselves in secrecy, and now they're revealing themselves, or if they've always been there. Seems like they've always been there since in Avengers they mentioned it, but.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think since they've mentioned it, it's common knowledge that they're there, and I think when they come in, maybe it'll be something that that Wakanda is more secretly, more technologically advanced, or maybe they'll just make Wakanda a normal nation. Because, to be honest, Black Panther is cool enough on his own. Especially when you read stuff like Dwayne McDuffie's, Fantastic Four with Black Panther on it, or even some of the Kurt Busiek scenes where he wrote Black Panther that kind of come to mind, where he comes off as a very Batman-like character, the character that could put the Silver Surfer in an arm lock that he can't get out of. He's great. I like him. Mm-hmm. I can't gush enough about Black Panther. He's got an awesome costume.
Awesome name.
Awesome.
I think his name's pretty cool too, Black Panther. And I think that's better than like Black Lightning, because Black Panther, that's a type of animal anyways. I mean, I just typed in Black Panther, and first thing it went to was a picture of a Black Panther. It didn't go to the comic book Black Panther, so yeah. I think that's a little bit better. But, yeah, it's like you said, he's got a cool costume.
Yeah.
Cool
now,
idea.
He is, as I've been saying, he is very Batman-like. So I feel like he is not as unique. He's almost like Marvel's Black Batman. But yeah. That's his only weakness in my eyes.
That he's like a black Batman?
That he's like a black Batman.
I don't think that's a plus.
Well, it's just he's not incredibly unique.
No. I mean, I guess but like you said, he's a very similar to Batman, but I think he's somebody that will be really interesting and a good part of the Marvel universe.
I'd love to see movies on any of these characters.
But also, which kind of goes into our next thing, he, as we all know, well, not all of us, but a lot of us know that Black Panther in the comics eventually goes on to marry Storm, who is another African character within the Marvel comic book universe. But yeah, they get married and stuff like that. They don't have kids, do they?
I don't think so.
They probably don't have any kids. Probably not anymore since they got rid of Storm and everybody. All the X-Men. Yeah. But Storm is another character I was bringing up. Aurora Monroe Storm. What do you think about her, Jax?
Oh yeah, Storm's great. I think Storm is probably Marvel's best black superhero. I mean, there's no other superhero like her anywhere else. She's not like Black Storm or something like that, to where she's a character that is just interesting because she's black. I mean, I think she's great. It's kind of hard to sit and talk about a character that's as great as Storm. Unfortunately, we haven't had a really great portrayal of Storm in movies. I have a very, very pretty woman, but did not really do Storm justice in those movies. So
yeah, I mean, beautiful woman, and she couldn't, and she
Halle Berry,
and she just didn't get to play it. I mean, great actress, and she didn't get to play Storm in the right way. I think later on they kind of, like in X-Men 3, they kind of gave her a little bit more to do, But I think
Too late.
it was too late by that point. You were just kind of like watching it, being like, "Why is Storm getting so much to do?"
So maybe Alexandra Shipp?
Don't get me started.
Okay. I was going to say maybe she might.
I mean,
give it some justice, but I guess not.
Out of all the pictures, she does look the best, I think, and I think she looks very pretty, and I like the mohawk. I think that's kind of cool because it's in the '80s, so I think that's kind of cool. I think she does, like I said, she looks the best, but everybody else looks like. Bleh.
You reckon she's gonna do like that voice like from the cartoon where she's like, "Winds, come to me."
That was always my problem with Storm, is because she was at least in the cartoon. I never really read too much about her in the comics, or the regular X-Men comics, besides like Ultimate X-Men. But yeah, she always sounded like that on the cartoon, and I was always kind of like,
You always read it in
I was like,
Whoever voiced her there, she was like the Mark Hamill of Storm.
But they did have great voice actors, because they had her doing that. But her and Apocalypse sounded too much the same. They were like, "Wind, I will bring oblivion
upon your world." Another black supervillain. Apocalypse.
Wow, Apocalypse is Egyptian. He's not
African
Egyptian.
superhero.
It's kind of more like African and like Middle Eastern mixed together, Egyptian. But another next line of black superheroes. He is black, but his title is one of that is from Caucasian man. Green Lantern, John Stewart.
Yeah.
John Stewart, Green Lantern. Probably, personally, my second favorite Green Lantern behind Kyle Rayner, but yeah, I think but it's like I was telling you earlier that John Stewart and Hal Jordan kind of have the same build. I mean, all of them really do. Besides Guy Gardner, they all have the same type of character. That they're just all three very noble.
They're pretty much all interchangeable.
Yeah, they're very, very much all interchangeable. They're all very noble, very brave men, who all have their own things. I mean, John Stewart is from the Air Force, and so is, whatchamacallit, Hal Jordan. They're all from, the Air Force. They fly planes and stuff, and Kyle Rayner's like an artist who kind of eventually morphed into the character that everybody else is like, which, I mean, is fine, but, just when you're thinking about John Stewart, you're just kind of like, he's just kind of like a normal, noble guy, which is kind of all right. He's not like, I'm Black Green Lantern or nothing like that. He's like, I'm just a normal guy. I think that was kind of cool. But, yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, John Stewart is great. I mean, we all loved him on the cartoon, which I've never really seen him portrayed super good outside of the cartoon, or super interesting. Otherwise, just like you said, he's fairly the same as Hal Jordan. I would love to see him be like the main Green Lantern in the comic book, but it really just does not happen that often, which is unfortunate, because I think that a lot of people really like John Stewart.
Yeah, I mean, when George Miller was doing his, he was going to be Common. Common was going to play Green Lantern. So, yeah. I mean, he was going to go for John Stewart.
I think that makes sense. I mean, any reason to get more diversity? I know there's a lot of Hal Jordan fans out there, but I mean, really, take a step back. I mean, is there really that much of a difference?
I mean, yeah, it's like I said, they're very interchangeable. They're both kind of the same character. I mean, if you want to do Hal Jordan, you can just change his name to John Stewart, and it's the same guy, honestly. I mean, but...
Yeah, and I also think that, John Stewart, because he doesn't get a real chance to be the main Green Lantern, it's almost like he's just kind of a glorified War Machine, like he is to Green Lantern as War Machine is to Iron Man, to where it's just, he's like Green Lantern's black friend with Green Lantern powers too.
Yeah, he's got the same powers and everything, so... But I do hope that, they'll at least include John Stewart. I think with this universe that they're creating, it's very like everything's pre-established. So I think if you wanted to do Green Lantern, you could just have everybody in there. You could have John Stewart, Hal Jordan, Kyle Rayner, Guy Gardner all in there. And just say that, you kind of, not necessarily jump off of Green Lantern, but you just kind of say, remember Green Lantern, and a lot of that stuff, a lot of those elements are related in this one. But there's more Earth there's more human Green Lanterns in the Corps now because of what Hal Jordan established. And that's why I was saying that you get somebody like Matthew McConaughey to be Hal Jordan, because in that aspect you can say that, oh, well, Hal Jordan's been at it for a while, he's older, and there's other Green Lanterns out there as well that are, have kind of followed in his footsteps. And I think that would be very interesting to see. But like you said, I doubt they'll go for that. They'll probably do it's just Hal Jordan again.
Yeah.
And whereas I'm not as big of a fan.
Mark Wahlberg, Tyrese.
Nah, they're not gonna. No.
The Fast and the Furious.
I would
in
be
space.
so upset with that. But
they're like, we're gonna jump a car from one moon to the other.
one moon to the other. While we just fly. No. But next character, Eric Brooks himself, Jackson. Blade.
That's Blade's name?
Yeah, Eric Brooks.
Eric Brooks.
Eric Brooks.
Never heard.
I think they said that in the movie. They said that in the movie.
Oh, my boy, Eric Brooks.
I mean, it's not
My
like...
name is Eric Brooks.
I mean, he wasn't like, my name's Eric Brooks, and I am Blade, or whatever.
Blade Brooks.
It's not like Flash Arrow. It's like, my name is Eric Brooks, or nothing like that. But it's very... I think they've said it like maybe once or something like that, like maybe when he was talking to his mom. But, yeah, Blade.
Awesome.
Half vampire, half human.
Blade is awesome. Blade is like maybe the second best black superhero in Marvel. Throughout Marvel and DC, there's really no other characters like him. I mean, he's just a straight up badass. The movies that he was in with Wesley Snipes were great. Mm-hmm. I love Blade.
Yep, kind of some of the best.
I really don't like vampires. I'm not into magic, but I love Blade, and I like the attempts that they've been doing recently to try and bring Blade into the greater Marvel universe, because he's always kind of been like a side character. He'd maybe show up in an issue of Spider-Man, and him and Spider-Man would fight some vampires, or he'd show up in an issue of Doctor Strange, and they'd fight some vampires. But it'd be nice to see him come in and and join in on helping Captain America fight some Hydra agents or whatever.
Yeah, I mean...
I want to see Blade fight more than vampires.
Yeah, I mean, Blade can be somebody that can be used to do that, but I think that they've always kind of established Blade as somebody that's like, I only kill vampires, and I don't really care about anything else. Terrorism. And I think you could do that. I mean, you could just be like... but it is kind of really funny to see Blade fighting like Hydra agents or whatever, like a Avengers movie. I think that'd be cool. I think, like you said, like you've been saying, I think if you stick him in like a Doctor Strange or something like that, or maybe something else, I think it'd be all right. But Blade is always kind of that type of character that's like, I don't care about terrorists. I'm just gonna kill vampires.
Also, Marvel's been talking to Wesley Snipes about coming back.
Mm-hmm.
For possibly a Blade movie or possibly some other role. Like I said, I'd love to see him in a Doctor Strange movie. I'd love to see them do Blade 4. The first two Blade movies were awesome. Third one, not so much. But yeah, I think Marvel could really redeem the Blade franchise. So.
I think so. I think
all
kind of
for diversity.
I think similar. I think it's like maybe not do Blade 4, just call it Blade, and just kind of be like, maybe it's in the same universe, maybe not. Don't really worry about it. Just Wesley Snipes' Blade again. Mm-hmm. But if they can't get through that, I would still be excited to see Wesley within the world playing a big role as somebody. So I think, and it seems like it's something that they're working towards, because he said, that they're going to try to work Blade in. If they can't, then they'll come up with something just as cool. I'm very excited to hear about that. But I was just reading here about the 2004 movie Blade Trinity. I didn't know this. I never saw it. But, in the movie, the bad guy is Dracula. And I guess throughout the movie, he's referred to as Drake. Yep. That is stupid. That is stupid. And I just wanted to bring that up. Because it sounded so stupid.
Yep. It was not a good movie.
I mean, like I said, I've seen like bits and pieces, but I've never really sat down and watched it all. Because I heard it was so bad.
I wonder if there was any point in the script where, Wesley Snipes looked at the script and was like, we're going to call you Drake instead of Dracula. And it's like, oh, this is not going to be good.
But, moving on. Next character. Another character that is named Black something. Jefferson Pierce himself, Jackson.
Black Lightning.
Black Lightning.
I'm not joining you turkeys in the Justice League. I'm Black Lightning.
But Black Lightning, similar to Luke Cage, kind of come a long way from when he first was introduced. He's become a member of the Justice League multiple times and very integral to a lot of other comics. I think Brad Meltzer's run, he stuck him on the Justice League, didn't he?
Yeah, he was on the Justice League at that point. I mean, Black Lightning, I think from the beginning, he was always like a guy who was a teacher and stuff like that. I think eventually he became like the Secretary of Education in like Lex Luthor's in his cabinet. So, Black Lightning's not only an awesome superhero, he's also was the Secretary of Education at some point in the DC universe.
Yeah, it's like I said, they've kind of made him like, he was a lot faster than Luke Cage was. Luke Cage kind of became that way, like early 2000s on. Kind of became a lot cooler and like a lot
less
more
blaxploitation.
Yeah, a lot more blaxploitation. Whereas, like you said, he became Secretary of Education. But I was just reading here the publication history on Black Lightning. They said DC Comics was trying to come up with a black superhero so that they could headline a black superhero in their comics, and it was going to originally be called Black Bomber. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but the character was supposed to be a white racist guy that would turn black under stress, like the Hulk. He would be a white racist guy that would turn black when he got angry or whatever.
Really?
And the guy Don Markstein, I guess, who was the comic book guy at the point, was like said that like that is horrifyingly insulting to like everybody. We can't do this. Just make Black Lightning.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sounds pretty terrible. But I mean, like I said, he's come a long way. I always liked his costume too. His costumes always was something that I really liked.
I was reading Dwayne McDuffie's Justice League, and there was like an issue where Vixen travels to like this alternate timeline, and there's a guy on the Avengers. I can't remember whether his name was Black Bomber, but it was like Black something. It was either Black Bomber or like Black Power. And he was like that character where he was like just kind of like a bald fat white dude who was racist, but then like when he said like these magic words, he turned into like a black dude that was muscular with an afro and stuff.
I mean, like I said, it's somebody that's a cool minor character, but when you're trying to headline I think I understand where the guy was coming from. He was just trying to be like, this guy's racist, and he turns into a black man and realizes that being black's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's almost like a Twilight Zone.
Yeah, I mean, it's like that Twilight Zone movie. But yeah, like I said, I always like Black Lightning's costume. Always a big fan of him in Static Shock.
Mm-hmm. He had a great costume. Was a great character. Like I said, unlike Luke Cage, I think from the beginning, whereas Black Lightning, I think, talked a very, like, he said, like, things like turkey and stuff, but I think he was still a guy who was a teacher and was smart and stuff. So, but I don't know. Maybe my comics knowledge is wrong, but I think he was a character that was really great from the start.
Okay, well, moving on, we got another superhero, another black superhero.
For real?
Yep. Vic Stone himself,
Cyborg, one of my favorite superheroes from the Teen Titans. I think he is DC. He is the best of what DC has as far as black superheroes. Again, I feel like a big stipulation of mine for great black superheroes is how unique they are, and there's not very many other superheroes that are like Cyborg.
No.
He's a character. He's not Black Cyborg. He's not just a black version of some other superhero. He is his own guy, and he's cool. I mean,
very similar to like how Steel is like a black Iron Man.
Yeah.
Kind of like
he's like a black
Machine.
Iron Man.
I guess he's like
Superman.
War Machine. But yeah, I mean, just kind of like how he's just like a black guy in a suit. I mean, he's a black Superman. And Cyborg is one unique character. Like you said, he was created to be unique. And I think that's kind of interesting because he's not just a man in a suit. He's an actual robot. He's half man, half robot, like RoboCop type stuff. Mm-hmm. So I think that's kind of cool. And, he's a founding member of the Teen Titans. And he's been the leader of the Teen Titans before. He's been, and even recently, he's becoming a founding member of the Justice League in its New 52 run. So they've kind of been pushing Cyborg. He's going to be in the new movies. He's going to have his own movie. So
yeah, I'm excited to see his own movie. I mean, I'm excited for him to be able to have his own comic book, because I don't think he's really ever been able to have a comic book or be on the Justice League before, and I think they finally took a hard look at Cyborg and realized that, man, this is a great character that we're kind of we're wasting here, because the Teen Titans, unfortunately, as good of a comic book as it was back then during the Perez Marv Wolfman run, has been kind of defunct. Ever since then. It made a little bit of a revival when Jeff Johns was writing it, but it just kind of went right back into being defunct. And as good as it was, all those great characters that were on there are just being wasted. So, yeah, throwing him on the Justice League as a founding member, I've got no problem with that. I'm sad to see the Teen Titans not be brought back, but yeah, I'm excited to see where Cyborg goes next.
Are they not doing the Teen Titans, or is it just kind of like a...
Well, they're doing the Teen Titans, but they are like a group, like the old Teen Titans, I believe in the New 52.
Yeah, they never
have
existed.
never existed. The Teen Titans are, I think like Tim Drake as Red Robin, and then a bunch of other kids that I've never really heard of.
Oh, so
and
they don't even
there's
have like
Kid Flash.
Superboy or Kid Flash or nothing like that.
I think they do have Superboy and Kid Flash, and then a bunch of other people that I've never heard of. I don't even know if they have Wonder Girl. Maybe they've got Wonder Girl, but she's wildly different than.
Is Donna Troy still dead?
I have no idea.
I mean, yeah, I guess we haven't really.
I think
been up
actually,
on comics. So.
yeah, I did look at Donna Troy, and I think they were doing something different with her, to where Donna Troy is a bad guy, is like one of Wonder Woman's bad guys, rather than like her sidekick. That she's like an evil Wonder Woman that was created.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
yeah, it's unfortunate to see that type of stuff happen. And then Wally West, I'd kind of like to see where his Kid Flash thing goes. I don't really like the costume that I've seen so far with the silver and black. I wish we could see something with the...
traditional yellow and red.
Yeah, traditional yellow and red. I think what they gave Impulse, in that Teen Titans run, looked fine. I don't think that looked silly to where it needed to be changed. So yeah, I'd love to see Wally West back. I'd love to see the original Teen Titans back, but I'd love to see those characters get to do stuff. So
I mean, yeah, I think with what they're doing with Teen Titans, I think they should just make it, just do a new run, about it. I think, like you said, the Jeff Johns run was pretty good, and I thought that was very interesting, but yeah, we'll have to see where that goes. But, yeah, Vic Stone, Cyborg, he's had a lot of...
Now, I think the thing that bothers me about DC is that they'll do this, which never makes sense to me, and I feel like keeps me from reading a lot of their team books, is like, they'll get me on board, by having... Oh, the Justice League got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, The Flash, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter.
Typically people that you think of.
Big Seven or whatever. And then, they'll stay together for, 5 issues. And then, next issue I pick up, and it's, a bunch of superheroes I've never heard of. And then maybe, Batman. And then it's just what? And I feel like they do that with the Teen Titans. That was the problem with the Jeff Johns run, is they got me in because they had oh man, they got Superboy, Robin, Kid Flash, Cyborg, Beast Boy, and Starfire, Raven in there too. They have Wonder Girl, and then they started just replacing those characters and bringing in Kid Devil and Kid something else and Rose, Cassidy, and just all these characters. It was I came in to see the big guns, and it's you couldn't keep them together. They were Robert Downey Jr. that you couldn't pay. They wanted too much money, so we had to get them off the book. It's just I've never liked that about DC, and I feel like they constantly do that, and I really don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either. I think that...
I can understand wanting to give other characters ability to be in the Justice League, but, don't, make wholesale changes. I'll pick up an issue of the Justice League, and they'll have, Golden Gorilla and Starman on there.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is, like you said, you have them for, a few issues, and then they're gone. It'd be different if they were on there for a year, and then they were gone. Because you know how comics like to do a big new reboot, a big event every year. And I can understand why you want to change it up a bit. But,
Yeah, or just make the team bigger. I mean,
I think that's
like keep the big five on there for good. Like I want to see Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the Flash, and one of the Green Lanterns on there. It's at all times.
I mean, that's the thing though, is that they keep killing Superman, Batman, or doing things different with them to where like they're gone and they're not on there. But I think that it's something similar to like you said, where you make it like Justice League Unlimited, where there's just a whole bunch of them, and if somebody wants to come in and write with different characters, he can pick from the big bunch that they have there. And that will be something. I think that's kind of like what Brad Meltzer did, wasn't it? Where he had remember there's like that picture of like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, and they're like handing like a card to somebody.
Well, that was an issue of like, we're picking the new Justice League, and so everybody is here waiting to see whether they got to be on the Justice League. He did have a pretty big Justice League though. And that's what I like to see. It wasn't Justice League Unlimited where there were just a whole bunch of members, but I think they had maybe 9 or 10 people in the Justice League. So
yeah, I mean they had quite a bit on there, so I think that was something that that's something that they should try to do because, like I said, if you want to come in and write it, you can just have a bunch of people in there or whatever. But Cyborg, I was going to say that Cyborg's had a lot of big. He's got a lot of. Kind of rooted a lot within the entertainment aspect of DC as well. He's been on cartoons, TV shows, and he's going to be in the movie. He's not going to be on that new Teen Titans show that they're doing, or the Titans show that they're doing, but, he was on the Teen Titans show. He was on Smallville, played by Jet Jackson himself.
The famous Jet Jackson. The late
Jet Jackson, sadly. But yeah, like I said, he's going to be in the movies. And
we miss you, Jet.
And he's going to be in the movies. He's going to, have his own movie after that. So that'll be very exciting to see, Cyborg kind of get his just dues. Because he's always been kind of that character on Titans and Teen Titans where he's, older than everybody. But, since he's a robot, he's, okay to be on that team or whatever. So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him within the movies or in the comics. Like you said, him getting his own comic. That'll be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
But the next black superhero is, what's his name? John Henry Irons himself.
Oh.
John Henry Irons.
The man, I think he's one of the only superheroes on here besides Blade that has had his own movie.
Yep. Has had his own movie.
He's important enough to have had his own movie.
Very loosely based.
One of the biggest stars in the world.
One of the biggest, not a star, but the big guy.
I mean,
big guy.
In basketball terms, Shaq is one of the biggest stars in the world.
Yes, biggest star. Yes.
He's not one of the most talented acting-wise, but he's a huge star.
But still, John Henry Irons, very similar to a Tony Stark, if you will. He's an engineer, inventor. Pretty much he came from the Death of Superman run that they did where they killed off Superman for 6 to 9 months or whatever. And he came out of that. He built a robot suit so that he could come out and fight as Superman was gone and dead. It was him, Eradicator, and Superboy, right? They all came out and were the new Supermen of the world as Superman had died.
Mm-hmm.
And, I dug Steel because of the movie, and I always used to watch that movie with Shaq in it, and I thought that was so cool as a kid. But going back and watching it, it's pretty terrible.
It's got that part in it, which is my favorite part in any superhero movie, where the henchmen in the middle of the movie and the villain are having this conversation in the park, and the supervillain hands the henchman a hot dog, and the henchman is like, "Nah, I don't want that. I don't eat pork or whatever." And the villain is like, "Nah, it's all right. It's like a turkey dog or whatever." And the guy's like, "Oh, really?" And then he eats the hot dog and stuff. And then it comes back at the end of the movie when the villain is about to betray his henchman. He goes, "Hey, that hot dog you ate, it was pork." And then the henchman just becomes enraged and is about to attack the villain, but is held back. "I was all right with you betraying me and possibly killing me, but you went one step too further by making me eat a pork hot dog instead of a turkey dog. Mm-hmm. Some people. I love that part of the movie. Every time I'm out with somebody and they're like, I don't eat pork, I think of that scene. I try to explain it to them and they look at me with a solemn face.
They're like, oh.
Nothing behind their eyes.
You're like,
just
oh,
what
they're
are
like the
about?
Steel movie where he gave him a pork sandwich.
And they're like,
what?
Steel? I've never heard of that movie. I was like, you need to watch Steel. And then we watch Steel, and they're like, why'd you make me watch this?
Well, I'm surprised that you were able to even show them Steel, because you can't find it anywhere. It's not on whatchamacallit, DVD.
We got it on VHS,
Yep,
though.
we got to show it to them on VHS.
They see me pulling out this VHS tape, and they're like, oh no.
But, yeah, I mean, Steel, somebody that,
But Steel, the comic book character, away from the movie, the comic book character is a cool character. He's like a cross between like Superman and Iron Man. He's got a cape. He's got the S on his chest. He's got a big old hammer and stuff like that. He's been a member of the Justice League. He's a scientist. He's an all-around cool superhero.
Yeah, I think that, and there might even be room for him to be in a Superman movie even if they wanted to. At least John Henry Irons, maybe not Steel. But you could throw John Henry Irons in there as somebody that could, could probably work.
Yeah, you could throw in John Irons, maybe as just a guy in a movie. It'd be nice if the DC movies lightened up enough to where we could have a Superman movie where, like, he has a black friend sidekick, like in Captain America: Winter Soldier. But I don't think that the current like Man of Steel world would allow for that. But I think if it gets better, we may see something more like that, and I'd love to see that. Yeah,
then they could open it just like they did with Captain America, where John Henry Irons is driving, and Superman's like, whoosh!
And Superman flies past him,
knocks him into the river, and he's like, nah, nah. And he's like, you asshole, or whatever, and then he's like, sorry.
He's like, on your left, right above you. Whoosh.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for Steel. But moving on to the next guy.
The next one.
Lucas Bishop.
Bishop. Oh, I loved Bishop when I was a kid. He is a, let me guess, he's a mutant from the X-Men, from the future.
He's in the X-Men universe.
He's from the future. He came back in time to find out whoever caused his future to be the way that it was. Time-traveling badasses are a big part of X-Men. He's very much like a Cable-like character. Comes back, he's got this cool energy redirecting type powers. Unfortunately, they they put him in Days of Future Past.
Yeah, they dropped the ball.
Utterly wasted him.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball. I thought that Bishop, like you said, he had cool powers of the energy redirection, which you kind of got to see, but it made it to where it's like he just uses a gun or whatever, and I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah. That,
he uses that energy. But I thought that was kind of cool, though, that, all this stuff was happening, and before he left, he was like, hey, give me a hit, and, somebody, blasted him with something, and he took it, and then was like, all right, let's go, and then, started running. But, like you said, you got to drop the ball with him in Days of Future Past, didn't use him to his full potential, and I think that he was still a character that could still be cool within the universe. I think the problem with that movie was they were too busy trying to bring back older characters using Hugh Jackman a lot that it kind of took away from other things.
I just wish they hadn't have used him in the movie at all. But I mean, the movies, to be fair, the movies aren't the only people that have dropped the ball on Bishop recently.
Who else has dropped the ball on Bishop?
Marvel Comics.
They did? What have they done?
Recently in their, I think it was Messiah, some sort of Messiah complex. Maybe I think that might be the comic here.
Oh, that's not one, is it?
Where he becomes, he all of a sudden out of nowhere, after being with the X-Men for years and years, of being like a loyal member of the X-Men, decides to betray them. I think he either attempts to kill Professor X or maybe doesn't kill Professor X, and then chases Cable throughout time for several issues trying to kill a little girl. Hope Summers, who's supposed to bring the mutants back to life or whatever. He loses his arm, he goes crazy, he just becomes like this terrible, horrible villain for no reason. And I was shocked that they'd do something like that to one of the X-Men's only cool black superheroes. I mean, it's very unfortunate to see that happen, and I hope this reboot fixes that. But yeah, it was very unfortunate to see.
Yeah, I mean I remember you telling me that, and that kind of was kind of like a weird, like,
really,
he went crazy for no reason
yeah.
type situation.
I mean, I think they wanted, because I think the thing is, Cable is a character who in the 80s and 90s was incredibly popular, but he's not very, he's kind of lost his popularity in this new era. I think people just don't connect with him like they did before, and they stuck him with Deadpool for a while, but really that didn't really make him cooler, and I think they maybe just thought that if he had a cool villain, that would make him more popular, and so they thought that if they made Bishop, who was already sort of like a Cable type character, they cut off his arm, gave him a robot arm, made him like an evil version of Cable, and had him chase around, that would be better, but they were wrong.
Yeah, I mean, and it looks like here they haven't really brought him back since then, really. I mean, they said, like, he comes back and he fights, like, the X-Force or whatever, but, yeah, it doesn't really seem like he's really come back from that as being a good guy. But, yeah, I think that it's greatly represented in the cartoon, I think. It's cool in the cartoon, where he was like, what did he say? He said, X-Men? Assassins?
The
X-Men
are the X-Men.
are the assassins. It's like, okay, that's how you come up with the idea that you need to do that.
And then he had that weird, like, black guy with, like, long, like, flowy,
yeah, he had, like, long
hair.
hair. He didn't have the dreadlocks or whatever.
Like he does later. But yeah, Bishop, as he appeared all the way from the 90s all the way to Messiah Complex, was an amazing hero. I was really into him.
Yeah, Bishop
One
was
of my favorites from when I was a kid.
Yeah, I was so excited when they announced him in the movie. I was like, oh, maybe they'll do something. But then they cast that one guy who's French, I believe. And, we know Bishop's not French. He's future. So.
He speaks a future. I believe Bishop is somewhat like maybe Australian.
Really?
Yeah, because he's descended from like Aborigine. Like Gateway, the character.
No, who's Gateway?
He's like a Aborigine like character. He's like really skinny, black dude who's just got on like underwear, and he can open up portals.
No, I never heard of him.
But he's like supposed to be like Bishop's great grandfather or whatever.
No, I never heard of him, but I guess it doesn't. Never heard of that before. But moving on, whatever. We're moving on to the next guy on our list.
Oh fuck! How many more people do we have on this list?
I got like this guy and another one.
All right, let's go.
This guy, fairly new guy that was created. One of my favorites, I think. He's in the Marvel Universe now, I think, or he's going to be. Miles Morales. Spider-Man.
Miles Morales! I love Miles Morales. Like, as far as the Ultimate Spider-Man run, if you guys didn't read his initial run by Bendis on the Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, when he first took over as Ultimate Spider-Man, it is great. It is just as good as the beginning of Ultimate Spider-Man, the regular Peter Parker version that Bendis wrote. I mean, if you're wanting to see Ultimate Spider-Man rejuvenized and on a fresh take for a really young boy becoming Spider-Man in a modern age, this is what you need to read. Miles Morales is an awesome character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was really excited when they had. I remember when they had announced him that they were making him black, and then they were going to kill off Peter Parker. I thought,
password, username, or password incorrect.
Whoa.
Oops. I'll have to cut that out. But I was really excited when they announced him because I remember thinking that, they're going to be making a black Spider-Man. That's not going to do anything. It's just going to go away in a few. He's just going to be Spider-Man, and then
Voiceover off.
what's that?
What are you saying?
Mhm.
Are you typing something?
No.
All right. Holden, cut this out.
I'll remember to cut this out. But yeah, I remember being
should
excited when
not
they
cut it.
announced him because it was something that, like I said, he was just going to come back and he was gone. You know, I didn't think that this would really last, but he has actually really stuck around as a pretty popular character.
Yeah, and they've moved him into the regular universe.
Yeah, they moved him into the regular universe.
Personally, I mean, as far as me, I love Peter Parker, but I would be okay with them, putting Peter Parker on the bench for 10 years and letting us see what Miles Morales has.
Maybe not 10 years, but I'd be okay
10
with
years
them.
isn't that long.
I'd be okay with them putting him on the bench for at least like 5-6 years. It's just testing the waters, then seeing if like people respond to Miles Morales or if somebody comes in and like shits all over Miles Morales or whatever, and people start hating him. But I think Miles is a great character. I really dug his run on the Ultimate run. I thought that was really good. So I'm very excited to see that. I actually do want to start reading on the new one that comes out. I wanted to start buying that one so I can read that one. I thought that's really cool and awesome. But yeah, I mean, very similar to Spider-Man. He can swing on webs, superhuman strength, agility, endurance, all that type of stuff. But he's also got a couple new powers. He's got the Venom Blast and camouflage powers. Because as we know, he's bit by a similar spider that is from the Ultimate Spider-Man universe. Like, there's a bunch of spiders Norman Osborn created. One of them bit Peter, but then like he was going to kill all of them, but then one of them got away because Miles' uncle is the Prowler, and he snuck in to steal something from Norman Osborn, and he stole something, and one of the extra spiders got into his briefcase before Norman destroyed everything. And Miles got bit by that spider and caused him to have the spider powers, which was very interesting because I thought that after that point, I mean, it's like I said, the timeline was very close to, the beginning of Ultimate Spider-Man. I mean, it was right there. I mean, it begins at the same point where Ultimate Spider-Man began with Peter Parker. And I thought that was cool that, like, he got bit the same time Peter Parker got bit.
Yep,
But he just didn't want to use them because he was like, I don't want to be a mutant or a freak or whatever. I just want to be Miles Morales.
Yeah, I thought that was a great, as part of the lesson of responsibility, that he spent like this whole year or 2 years with these powers, hiding them, not using them to help people at all. And yeah, I mean, that's just one of the things that made that run really special.
Yeah, and I thought that was really a great idea from Bendis to make it to where Peter Parker is like his Uncle Ben, to where he was like, if I had just accepted my powers and used them to save people, Peter Parker wouldn't be dead, and Spider-Man would still be alive. And now I have to be Spider-Man because I didn't use my powers when I could have. And I thought that was really cool. A really cool way to kind of blend together a new Spider-Man with the old Spider-Man and not doing like Clone Saga shit.
Hey, don't you bow down to Clone Saga.
But I think Miles Morales is a great character. Very excited to see what they do with him in the new Marvel Comics universe. You have any thoughts on that?
No. It's like I said, I expressed them already. I'd be all right with. I'd be all right here and seeing somebody write 10 years of Miles Morales as the main Spider-Man. Just to see what he's got. I mean, 10 years isn't that long. We've had White Spider-Man for 60 years or whatever, 70 years.
Yeah.
Come on, give us 10 years with Black Spider-Man.
I mean, I guess it'd be all right for
fair.
10 years, but just like I said, I feel like 10 years is so long.
I mean, we're only asking for 10 years. We ought to be asking for 75 years. Give us 75 years of Miles Morales, and then you can have Peter Parker back.
But moving on to the next guy. This is our last one. I just came up with a big long list of them. I was just like, I want to talk about this guy, and I'll talk about this one. But moved on to the last guy. A lot of you'll know him. He's actually in the Marvel Universe. He's been in Marvel Studios movies already. Samuel Thomas Sam Wilson. The Falcon.
The Falcon. Now, what can be said about the Falcon that hasn't already been said? Falcon is a character who I think traditionally was always fairly lame. I mean, we were all cool with the Falcon because it's the guy, but it was nice to see any black characters in Marvel Comics, but like I said, or like I was telling Holden before we started the podcast, the Falcon is like the lamest guy with wings. I mean, there's several guys with wings, and the Falcon is like the lamest one. He's no Hawkman. He was never like as cool as Angel or like even the Vulture. But in recent years, I mean, the Falcon that they showed us in the movie was awesome. I loved that Falcon.
Yeah, I thought Anthony Mackie.
And now recently, on the Brubaker run, and then Falcon's become Captain America and things like that. They've done a good job at making them cooler, as they have with every sort of superhero. I don't think there's a lot of superheroes still around that are still pretty lame, but yeah, Falcon's really he's really come back and really hit us hard with being cool again.
Yeah, I think Falcon, like you said, somebody that was kind of lame, but I think the main reason was because he kind of had a funny looking costume. It was like red and white, and he had like a falcon with him all the time. And it was kind of like, well, does he need to have like a falcon? That seems a little ridiculous and weird. And I think that, since I think in the Ultimate run, it's kind of where they based the new Falcon on. Because he's got like that gray suit and the more silver wings. It doesn't look like the comics, but
he's more of like a scientist he was more of like a lightweight Iron Man.
Yeah, he was like a soldier that had this cool like flying suit that he could use to do stuff, and I think that's kind of what they based it off of, which is fine. I think that's a cool way to go with it. But it is cool that they're adding like more red and stuff to his costume as it's progressing in the movie. So it'll be cool. I always dug Falcon because, like you said, he was like a right hand man to Captain America, and I think that he was always kind of a guy that similar to like you said about Black Lightning. He was somebody that has always been cool. He's never been like somebody that's like I'm a blaxploitation like guy. He was always very cool with Captain America. He was a big fan of Captain America and everything. So I thought that was kind of cool to respect that type of thing with him. But yeah, I think it'll be cool. It's cool to see him become Captain America again. I think it's like you told me the other day that it seems like they're very like Marvel's trying to come up with backups for their superheroes in case people leave or want to leave the movie universe, so that way if like Chris Evans leaves, they can throw Anthony Mackie or Sebastian Stan in there. Or if Chris Hemsworth want to leave, they can throw Jane Foster in there since she's the Thor now.
But I wouldn't mind seeing Natalie Portman get to be.
I wouldn't mind either. I think she'd probably be down for it too. It'd be cool to see her. I mean, as a because for one, her character that she plays in that, she's charming and good looking and stuff. But it's very and very helpful to Thor too. But it's very it's very just kind of like, I like you because you're good looking, It's not really like, they don't really seem like they really love each other. Not like Pepper and Tony Stark, because they have really good chemistry, with Robert and stuff. And then Captain America doesn't really have anybody. Sam Wilson. And Bucky. It's like, I'm too worried about Bucky!
My Bucky!
But, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Falcon's become a big mainstay within the Marvel Universe, especially since the movies and stuff. I think it is kind of weird, though, that now that he's Captain America, he's got the wings and the shield. It's a lot of cumbersome for him. And he's got his hawk. So he's got his hawk, his shield.
Shield on one hand, hawk on the other hand, wings in between his hands.
Yes, that would be very... But, yeah, it's cool. It's still cool anyways.
Unfortunately, I haven't gotten to read any of it, so I haven't gotten to see how he handles all that stuff.
I doubt they go with.
And I wonder if they've given his partner Red Wing a little Bucky costume, but for a bird.
A Bucky bird costume.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does it pretty much here. for the spotlights on the black superheroes that we've listed off here.
You reckon we should have like a theme song for spotlights? We got to work on it.
We'll work on theme songs when we get
Jingles.
when we get down the way. But yeah, that's pretty much it here for that. So we're gonna move on to our next and last segment, which is what we like to call. What do we call it, Jackson?
Recommendations.
Recommendations.
We recommend stuff.
We recommend stuff to people, something that we've read or something that we've saw that we really enjoyed. And I'm actually going to recommend something we saw last night, Jackson, and that is Justice League Gods and Monsters. The new Warner Brothers animated feature that came out that was created by Bruce Timm. It tells like an alternate reality story of the Justice League, where Superman is Zod's son, Batman is like a vampire. He's not Bruce Wayne, but he's like a vampire now. And Wonder Woman is like a new god from Apocalypse. And I thought it was really cool and interesting. Then there's kind of like a big kind of thriller with it all because there's somebody's setting them up, murdering all these people, which a lot of the people that they murder are people that we all know. You know, they killed Ray Palmer and John Henry Irons, and the guy from the Metal Men is in it too. And I thought a lot of the stuff that they kind of weaved in together was really cool. Steve Trevor was in it. I thought Steve Trevor was kind of cool in that. But yeah, I thought that was really good. People should check that out. That's really good. Do you have anything to say about that or anything else?
I don't have anything to add on that, but I say my recommendation is it's a graphic novel called Stormbreaker: The Saga of Beta Ray Bill. It's come out. It came out a few years ago. It's a few years old by now, but it's a little known gem among the multitude of comics that Marvel puts out. It's just really good. It was written by Michael Oeming, I believe, and it's just one of those cosmic stories. It's about Beta Ray Bill, who is Thor's sort of.
Falcon.
His partner, like his Falcon, and he goes back. He's an alien. He's kind of a horse-faced alien, but he looks just like Thor. He's got the powers of Thor, and he hangs out with Thor all the time. And he goes back to his home world, and he's the only superhero there. Everybody loves him there. There's people that they have Beta Ray Bill Day, where they celebrate him, and he goes there and finds out that they are under attack by Galactus. And he's just trying to do everything that he can to try and ward off Galactus from eating his homeworld. And it's just, it's a tour de force, I feel, to make Beta Ray Bill this cool. That he's just this man trying to save his homeworld from this insurmountable odd of Galactus and his cruel herald named Stardust. And it's just awesome. So if you like cosmic stuff, if you like Thor, if you like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I'd say go ahead and check out Stormbreaker: The Saga of Beta Ray Bill. It's a really awesome book.
Yeah, I never read that. I know that you had said it was really good, but I think I tried to read it and I was just kind of like whatever. I think I was too young to read it, but
yeah, it's really beautifully written.
But yeah, I'll probably have to check that out then.
Yeah, you probably should.
Probably will, Jackson.
All right. Maybe you will.
Maybe I will. I probably won't, but I might.
I'd like to, because I'd like to have someone to talk about it with.
Wow.
Because it was pretty awesome. But if you read it, if any of the listeners read it, go ahead and tweet us about it. I'd love to hear your opinions on that, or on Gods and Monsters.
Where can they find you at, Jackson?
They could tweet us directly at Straight Outta Comics. Straight with an 8. Straight Outta Comics, our Twitter feed. We'll go ahead and I don't know what we'll be putting up here because I'm not running that Twitter feed.
Well,
but hopefully it's some informative stuff.
I'll be putting stuff up on there soon. I'll probably put links to the podcasts and other videos and channels and stuff like that. Straight Outta Comics will be a Twitter feed straight directly for the podcast. But if you want to, you can also follow us at Blam Death Cakes. That's where we do a lot of other things as well. That's our podcast, but at Blam Death Cakes, it's kind of our production company kind of.
That's our YouTube channel.
It's where we can go for YouTube channels. Jackson wants to try to start doing like other YouTube videos. Right now we have a lot of video game walkthroughs on there. If you want to check that out as well, but
yeah,
they're very long.
If anyone wants to see, they're very long video game walkthroughs of. We did
Call of
Duty, and then we did most of the Evil Within.
We did almost all of Evil Within. We did all of it except like maybe 10 minutes.
We got stuck at the end, and we were like, we shouldn't be doing this. We're not good enough video games to do walkthroughs. So yeah, if you want to watch those, I think they're pretty funny, but they're awfully very long. So and they're also not very informative as far as how to beat the Evil Within. So.
No, don't follow how we did it, because I think we did like 70 parts of it or something like that. There's like 15-minute videos, and all of them are like, there's like 70 of them.
If you like to see someone die, watch those videos.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not even like fun commentary either at the end there, because it's just like, we're like,
I mean, we're just mad.
We're mad at that.
We were furious at the end, and we were just like, I'm ready for this to be over. But anyways, I do want to go ahead and put up some maybe Fallout-related videos. I'm a big Fallout fan, so with Fallout 4 quickly approaching, I'd like to do something like that on the YouTube channel, so you maybe want to keep an eye out for any of that content if that interests you. Yeah,
and I'll probably be doing some things too. Probably trying to rip off some other YouTube videos out there and still throw up on there, but I think that, there's stuff that I want to do as well. Maybe not Fallout stuff, but video game, movie reviews, that type of stuff. I think that would be kind of cool. Something that we're trying to build towards as a whole, as a group here. We're trying to build towards. So I think, if you want to check us out there, Blam Death Cakes at Blam Death Cakes. And at Straight Outta Comics, straight with an 8. You can find us there. But yeah.
Yeah, and also, guys, if you got any suggestions for the shows, anything you want to do, if you're like, hey, can you stop being so racist? Or,
maybe not talk about black superheroes all the time. Maybe talk about other people. I mean, give us what you want to talk about. We'll talk about it. We'll throw it up. Maybe we can, give us a suggestion to do. We did black superheroes just because of a thing that we always wanted to talk about, and I think that, we can get more suggestions for other stuff you want to hear us talk about, stuff you want to hear us be interested in. I know Jackson's not a big Magic fan, so don't send anything about Magic our way, because Jackson won't want to talk about it.
Hey, if you want to send some Magic our way, Holden loves Magic.
I don't love Magic, but I appreciate it as
all
a
of your
genre.
Magic-related questions.
I appreciate Magic as a form of genre, movie-making thing, whatever. But I'm not a big fan. I'm not like, oh, Harry Potter for days or whatever. But I haven't even seen all the Harry Potters, the Hobbit movies. Maybe that's what we should do,
I saw the first one
Jackson.
and I saw the last one.
Maybe that's what we should do. We should watch all the Harry Potter movies and then talk about them.
I watched the first Harry Potter when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, this is whatever, this is fine. And then when the last one came out, it was a big deal. I had some friends that were like, hey, you want to come see this with me? And I was like, I hadn't seen any other ones. But I was like, you know what? I'll go ahead and see what it's about. It's super popular. And I figured, there's been like 8 movies in between these two. So by the time I see the last movie, Harry Potter's going to be a badass. He's going to be like Doctor Strange, where he's like calling up demons from the ground or something like that with his awesome sorcery powers. Nah, he barely did more than he did in the first one. They still relied heavily on the invisibility cloak. So I was very disappointed in Harry Potter.
Yeah, Harry Potter, Ronald, and Hermione were like sneaking away from Voldemort in their invisibility cloak.
And that's what they did in the first movie.
So it wasn't even anything like Legend of Korra or nothing like that, to where by the end she was like using like fire blast to like propel herself up to the end.
No,
like cool
at the very end, they were fighting and they were shooting like lightning at each other with the wands, but he only did that with Voldemort, so it didn't seem like he could do that at any other time. And then, there wasn't much else that they did. They had Forgeticus, where they could tell people to forget stuff, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, magic is one of those things that's, like you said, about like the Hobbit movies and stuff, where they can use magic whenever they want to, but it's kind of more like a ex machina plot of the movie. So I think it's something that just helps.
Yeah, don't get me
when they
started
want
on
to.
The Hobbit.
But
I could talk for hours about how the birds at the end of the movie.
But we won't talk about that. I think that could be for another episode. But like we said, you can find us at Straight Outta Comics, straight with an 8, Blam Death Cakes, and for more things, come back to Straight Outta Comics.
Awesome.